Hi, and welcome to Nerds in the Dark. I'm Mikey,
I'm Darnell. But
and today we're going to be talking about some Palestinian documentaries. Darnell, how are you feeling today?
uh, great. Given the topic, sad is the accurate thing.
You know what? I will join you in that. I, externally, I'm having a really good day. Internally, I am conflicted. I mean, this topic was heavy. Watching everything. I mean, it was already heavy in general, like because you watch the news, right? You
Yeah.
see things go on, so like you have this like this you already know like what's happening. You already know the topic's going to be heavy. Um,
Yeah.
but to actually watch the two documentaries that we watched, um, heavily depressing topics. But we're here. This is our second week back from hiatus. We recorded last week. We talked about that Richard Pryor movie and a couple other movies actually about money and the lengths people go. This week we're talking about how these documentaries can help with uh, humanizing the people of Palestine. And
Yes.
there's something that I kind of wanted to go into before we go into this topic. Um, and it's that a lot of people are going to tell us because we talk about nerdy stuff. We talk about movies and cartoons and anime and TV shows, and a lot of times we do explore heavier topics inside of that, but people will tell us to not be political, keep politics out of it. And you know, despite people saying that we should be apolitical, it's very crucial to recognize that as people who examine media, that art has always been like a vessel for expressing and challenging societal norms, and documentaries as a form of storytelling hold immense power to shape perceptions and evoke empathy. And because art has kind of always been political in history, I think it's important for us to examine that and to really take that into account.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Art always has been political.
Yeah. The people, it's the same thing with like people who say like, "Oh, shut up and dribble." It's like, no, like we are also like humans, and we
Yes.
see like we see what's going on. So, yeah, I really wanted to explore these because they add a lot of like historical context,
Yeah.
and both being like firsthand accounts. I think they're really important.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Okay. So that being said, let's go into the first movie or the first documentary. Which one did you want to talk about first? Today we're
Uh,
exploring two. For those of you listening, the first or one of them is 1948, which is the full title is 1948 um, Creation and Catastrophe, and the other one is Five Broken Cameras. Uh,
uh, I say five broken cameras. Let's talk about that one first.
okay, awesome. All right, so Five Broken Cameras is it's a compelling example of how personal narratives can illuminate the broader picture. It captures the life of a Palestinian farmer called Ahmad Bernat, or called his that's his name, Ahmad Bernat, and it tells the journey of his life through the framing of five different cameras. And each camera that is broken symbolizes not only a physical toll that's happened to him as a result of the conflict, but also the resilience of the human spirit. So, Jarno, tell us a little bit about this movie and what you thought about it.
Um, it was very interesting because I wasn't I didn't read like any of the synopsis or whatever about it, so I just kind of just started watching it,
Yeah.
and I didn't realize that it was just one person at first. I was like, for some reason, I was thinking that it was gonna be like different people's cameras,
Okay.
and it was just like him continuously like recording, and then camera gets smashed. He finds another one, and then just starts up, comes back to recording, and like the chaotic life that he has to
Yeah.
endure during like trying to wanting to like the only thing he can that motivates him to fucking keep going is just videotaping his life.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting because, as he points out at the start of this, is that it's not something that he set out to do. He got the
Yeah,
camera because his kid was born, and so he just wanted
yeah,
to like have, more time, capturing the life of his child. And it just happened to be that same day that his kid was born was the same day that like all of the land was stolen. Um,
yeah,
and so, for context, this takes place surrounding their uh, town slash village of Bilin, and
yeah,
where they had a bunch of farming area. And basically, at some point, the Zionists they erected a gate and said, you cannot enter this area, and they took over part of that land. And their farms were there. Um, so at the start of that um, conflict, um, narrative conflict, there wasn't a lot of fighting at the times, as chronicled in there. They had peaceful protests, but um, anyway, uh, it tells a lot of the story, and a lot of the times each camera that ends up broken actually is the result of violence,
yeah,
whether it's through someone smashes his camera, which does happen a couple times, but bullets.
yeah.
Palestine thought this was Power World. This is why you don't stream View and Drive. Yeah, no, we talk about Palestine today. I will be doing Pal World streams. I plan on starting up a new world because I finished that one. I finished. I got to level 50. I didn't finish like capturing everything, but I want to start a new one. Uh, but thank you for stopping in, Tino. Um, so in exploring that, exploring like that they would protest every Friday. It was very interesting, and one of the central points that I thought was very poignant in the film was that he talks about the two people that he built a relationship with over time. Um, it was particularly Phil
Yeah,
resonated with me in that he mentioned that a lot of the kids loved Phil,
yes,
and it was because he hadn't like lost hope. He was
yeah,
still like he still had joy, and that's what the kids really enjoyed about him. um,
yeah,
so you'd see these characters over the, I think, about 5 years, um,
yeah,
and you can see how you know these protests and these constant indignities kind of start to shape them and mold them over the years. From hey, we can do this, or hey, as long as we get an inch of land back, we've won. um, Down to them really being resigned, um, and it felt um, truly troubling to watch, uh, just how things escalate over, and how things escalate for nothing. You'd see times where they're at the protests and they're very chill, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, here's tear gas.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that was wild because it feels like home. Well, like America, where
yeah,
like yeah, people minded their business and like they're relatively peaceful. Well, they were blatantly peaceful. They were just in fields and just watching them just get barraged with attacks. It was like
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
you learned it from
also
somewhere else.
it's also interesting because there's an aspect of when I watch it where you can tell that there are members of the IDF who, not defending them in any way, because in the same in the same vein where I'm like ACAB,
Yeah,
I can say the same about, like, someone being a member of the IDF and not being violent. It's like, okay, like that's not a cookie for you.
yeah,
But it's interesting to see that some people are there and they're just like, I'm just doing my job, you know when they're
yeah,
when they're like, I'm here to guard a gate, I'm not here to be violent with you. And so they'll let them through the gate. They're just like, hey,
yeah,
yeah, you have some farming to do, like, go ahead, whatever. He's like, just try and not make too much noise, like, because they're literally just showing up because they have to. This is where they've been assigned, right?
yeah,
And then it's when other people show up who have a chip on their shoulder, those people just go to violence immediately. And it really does kind of reflect in the same vein, like how we deal with cops. How there are some cops who are just like, look, man, this is a paycheck. I'm not here to bother you and like have a bad time. It's like, if you don't cause a ruckus, I'm not causing a ruckus. And there are some
yeah,
cops that are like that. And I'm not singing their praises, but it's like there's a difference between the ones that are there to serve a purpose and those who are there, use their job as a outlet for aggression.
yes,
So it was very interesting to see that, because it was very reflected, in there, and that's something where I saw like a piece of home. Interesting enough. Um, I don't want to go into anything that's a spoiler for this film. I think that anyone who wants to really explore, um, this side of media should do
yeah,
so, and I don't think that any spoilers would serve you in any way, and it wouldn't help us to really discuss these films. There's nothing enhanced by us, spoiling it.
yeah,
um, I will say that it is deeply emotional, um,
yes,
and there are things that are telegraphed that they happen, and you have a feeling that they're going to happen, but they are nonetheless jarring when they do.
yeah.
Um,
It's very like, yeah, it's like seeing like the multiple different things that happen. And I was like, oh, it's like something, and it's like, oh, like you kind of had the idea that something bad was going to happen, but then
mhm.
like,
I think one thing that is particularly interesting in the way that we talk about, you know, uh, conflicts and uprising, and how, many times a tool, a reluctantly used tool of the oppressed is violence, and how violence is really, the result of some other form of violence. Um,
yes,
there is a part of the documentary, um, that is not a spoiler, but just as violence escalates, his youngest child at some point asks him why, if if the soldiers are killing people, why don't we kill them? And I
yeah,
think that that's a poignant, you know, a, a poignant, like, view, because this is a child. This is a kid who at this point is like 4 years old,
yeah,
and has, lost there's something lost in his childhood immediately when he asked that, because he was just, you know uh he's just a baby, you know what I mean? And he's just like, well, if they kill, why don't we kill them?
yeah,
And it's so easy to see that aspect, and people say, oh, reject violence everywhere, and it's just like, that's hard. In a conflict, that is very hard. you know, um, and that's one of the things that there's a there's a movie where they talk about this, and they say, oh, like if you have, if you have 10 fighters and you kill four of them, how many do you have left? And the answer isn't six. The answer is 20, right?
Yeah.
Because you then have, um, you know, their brothers, their sisters, their relatives, their friends, uh, those people that were like, oh, hey, I understand what's going on, and I understand that we want this freedom, but I don't want to be violent about it. They're on the fence, you know. But
Yeah.
then you kill their friend, their brother, then suddenly they're no longer on the fence.
Yeah.
So it's not to say in any way that like this, that, or the other is okay in one way or another, but this is how someone goes from being, from being of one persuasion to being radicalized. And we see this everywhere, not specifically in the Middle East, but like everywhere, right? Why
Yeah.
did why did the Black Panthers rise in the way that they did? You know,
Exactly.
it's exactly what we saw in the U.S. Right? When they said by any means necessary, they meant by any means necessary.
Indeed. Like, yeah. That was like the fucking thing that was like a little like jarring was like his like the videographer's uh showing of himself, how he's like handling it, his narration of it, showing the changes in his like wife, his kid, and his friends, and all how they change throughout the time. And it's like the things that you don't see, like
Yeah,
it's like even like with the what's currently going on, I didn't know like any of the journalists like Bisan or the rest before him, because apparently they had like they were just like uh content creators for like traveling or food channels, and then they had to document what's currently going on, and so it's just like
I
seeing
think. Yeah,
the beginning and the changes is like I was like, oh, okay.
if you see posts from Bisan a year ago, it's wildly different, and it is a tale of tragedy when you look and see what Bisan was posting about Gaza and the beauty and richness of the land, and the people, and what the type of content that she was producing was
Yes.
amazing. And now it's just every day it's another post of like it's day 107, it's day 152, whatever, and she's like, this is what's going on. And
Yes.
just these firsthand accounts are incredibly important.
Yes.
Now, to move on to the second uh, film that we're going to discuss, that one is 1948, Catastrophe and Creation. This one here was also a very hard to watch film. Now, this one is it kind of delves into the historical roots of the conflict and how the state of Israel was created, and provides a comprehensive examination of the events leading up to everything that happened in 1948, and intertwines narratives from both sides. So you have like IDF, veterans, and you have people that lived in Palestine at the time, and then by having those narratives of both sides, you get a nuanced understanding that acknowledges both, the pain and loss experienced by the Palestinians, while recognizing the historical context of like what was going on at the time. And I think that's incredibly important to have.
Yes.
There is there's some interesting things that happen when you look at it from that uh, those competing points of view, and that
Hmm.
in several ways, they acknowledge a lot of what they did was wrong, but you have some interesting kind of like, I don't know how to describe it except for like cop mentality,
Yes.
um, where there's literally a time where someone says a story of he ambushed a guy and the guy approached him to hug him and he shot him and he's like, I don't know what I was supposed to do, like, and he's like, he goes, that's what happened. He tried to hug me and I killed him. He's like, I didn't know if he had a knife or anything. He's like, but he's like, at that point it was like him or me.
Yeah.
And it's such a it's such a cop response that I remember thinking about. Um, and it is interesting, the examination of looking at some of the Israeli veterans and what they did, and them acknowledging that what they did they felt bad about, and that a lot of it was wrong, and how reminiscent it was of what they saw happening to their people very recently.
Yes.
Um, but they still had that thing of like, well, it was them or us, though, right?
Yeah.
And so that's such an interesting exploration. Um, but more to the point, I think it was very important to see all of the pain, because I
Yeah.
think that's really important. A lot of the Palestinian people in this documentary um, got to express their pain. Um, and these firsthand accounts are heavy to deal with, man.
Yeah. It was like wild because it was like I saw that was an interview style, and I was like, okay, cool. And it's like interesting seeing that they are interviewing like the two different groups of like Jewish settlers and then random Palestinian people,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's how like even within the settlers, how they were like wanted to go about taking over the land was different, and they couldn't agree, but they still agreed to like take over the land, just how they took over the land. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, like y'all are arguing over how to steal land, not
Yeah.
whether or not you should steal the land.
Yeah. It's that part was super interesting of how that one woman, she said that, we had taken over land and we were supposed to be happy, but some of us weren't happy. And even though there were things of like how we knew it was wrong or we knew that we were stealing from other people, not one person said we don't want the land.
Yeah,
And I think that is very interesting, right? Because even though they knew they shouldn't have been doing that stuff, they didn't say no to it. They knew that they were displacing other people, you know.
yeah,
And that part's important. I think, oh man, um there's a scene where a man tells a story of when he was just a boy, um and he witnesses some events that involve some soldiers and um, a parent and a child. And I will say that that part messed me up.
yeah,
Um, and I think that was like, I was very heavy.
yeah. The that scene is also messed up because that was one of the stories that people were saying that uh Palestinian people did, and then it was like, oh, they stole this story from Palestinian people. Palestinian people weren't doing this to the Jewish settlers.
Right, right.
Jewish settlers are doing this to the Palestinian people. And so I was like, oh, okay, like so y'all just like watch this interview and then just try to like reframe it and cover it and like bury the comments
Yeah.
of like, or bury the atrocities that y'all have committed, and
But I think,
it's just very,
go ahead.
it's just like interesting because like uh I didn't look up what time this movie came out, this interview,
Mm-hmm.
uh but like seeing like the comparison to like what how we talk about today, and then how they're talking about it in the thing, and it was like not a lot has changed.
Yeah. So I do know
And it's,
that what is it? I believe that Five Broken Cameras came out in 2011. Um, and then 1948. Let's see, that came out in. Oh,
that's
so that came out in 2018.
2018. Okay.
So that's, I mean, and they are obviously still relevant today.
Yeah.
The I excuse me. I will tell you that while I recognize that the other one came out in 2011, I can tell you I did not have the heart to look up, um, like a where they are now or anything like that. It's like
Oh
because
yeah.
um, I didn't want to find out the bad news, you know, like if there
Yes.
was any, um, because looking at everything that's going on right now, whew, like no, um, it's interesting that we have this huge crisis going on. Is how I will frame it, but we have this huge crisis going on uh, live in front of us, and people are unwilling to. I don't want to say people. People is incorrect. The majority of the population sees and understands what's happening, um,
Yes.
and the people in power who have an ability to do something about this are not doing something about this.
Yeah.
Um,
Because was it
and
65% of the U.S., regardless of political affiliation, say they want a ceasefire?
right,
Yeah.
right. So that's, I mean, those are important numbers to see. I think to like recontextualize, like you know what is going on. But I think that there's not enough people that are speaking up about it. There's not enough people who are saying things about it because your poll numbers only go so far. I mean, like call your representatives, call your senators, make it known. Um, and it's not saying I'm not saying that's going to necessarily move the needle because they have other interests. Um,
Yes.
but make it inconvenient for them. Make them
Yeah.
uncomfortable. That is something I'm always an advocate for. Is do, do not let your representatives be comfortable when they are misrepresenting you.
Yes. Uh,
You know,
Chicago, yeah, just recently passed for a call for a ceasefire. So I was like, finally. But like, yeah.
yeah. I read an article about that actually, and it was an opinion piece, and based on the title of it, I knew it was immediately going to go racist, and it's such an interesting thing because I was like, let's see how far this goes before we have like a racist dog whistle. It was sentenced to, you know,
Okay.
like the first sentence was like, oh, this is what they did, and they called for a Palestinian. The mayor called for a Palestinian conflict. He was a deciding vote, and then it said, I wonder when he's going to call for a ceasefire in the West Side.
Oh,
And it's like, okay, okay, like we know exactly what you mean by that, and
yeah.
there it goes. So, I mean, good for Chicago to like finally step up. Um, I I don't want to say like hey, it took you long enough because they're the first major city to do so. So
Uh,
Like, and they're the largest city to do so thus far. So something, like, I'll give it to them. But
Yeah.
so again, we support these movies. We hope that you guys watching will support these movies. Really look up, you know, these these things. Uh, Again, the titles are Five Broken Cameras and 1948 Creation and Catastrophe. Um, we encourage you guys to check out other Palestinian media as well, and follow people on the ground so that you know what's going on. Basan is one of them. Motaz is another, and there are many people with boots in the ground exploring what's happening down there today, and we encourage you to do so. This channel uh, is a nerdy channel, but has always been at its roots very political. We have
Hmm.
opinions. We express those opinions. So ACAB, Free Palestine, and Black Lives Matter, Trans Lives Matter. If we're not your cup of tea for that, that's fine. Just know
Yeah.
that we are always going to have strong opinions about humanity. Anything you'd like to add, Darnell?
No. Well, I'm gonna say a couple of other movies that if people want to like watch is there's a movie called Omar and Farha. I
Okay.
think I said that right. And so like these are also some Palestinian movies, and they're on free apps, so you don't even have to like pay to watch them.
Sit through a couple ads.
And so like yeah,
Okay.
like
All right. Well, I think that's all we have for these. Thank you guys so much for joining in.